Looking at the tape from this past game, what were some of the biggest issues for you that you had to address immediately with this offense?
Yeah, no, I think the thing that jumped out was a few of the details. We felt like we had a few opportunities to create. I mean, there's probably 7 or 8 plays that we felt like that should have been explosive plays, and for whatever it was, just a lack of execution and a lack of particular detail to a number of different situations, a number of different parts of it. And when you're playing a really good team like that, you can't let those opportunities slide by, and we did. So.
You say 7 or 8 plays that could have been explosive plays and people are not paying attention to the details. Safe to assume that that's either the quarterback or the receivers themselves? Is that...
All parts, backs, O-line, tight ends, quarterbacks, receivers, all parts of that. I mean, we had a few of those when I say that number 7 or 8-ish, that we felt like the execution on a typical basis and in practice and everything, like as you're going into it, you're excited about those opportunities, and we didn't seize them. We had them right there to take, and we didn't do that. So not just those particular, but multiple.
Do you think you're close then? Because Matty Booth said that he thinks that you guys are really close. Would you put it under that same?
Yeah, I don't know as far as like how close we are or how far away we are. I just know that we have to improve our execution. That's as simple as that, right? It starts with executing on the practice field, which has been pretty damn good. So we got to make sure we carry that over to the game, though.
Luke, 7 or 8 plays sounds like a lot to me. I mean, that could be 20+ points if those went well.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Why is the volume of poorly executed plays that high?
Well, I think it's. I wouldn't use the word poorly executed. I would just say that the reactions weren't to matching what the opportunity presented. So whether it's sustaining a block, whether it's run a correct track by the back, a correct read by the back, whether it's a right alignment by a tight end or a receiver, whether it's a right decision by the quarterback. There's all facets. So that's where we have to narrow this thing down. Because you're going to have those plays in the game where you're going to have guys aren't going to be. We're not going to play perfect. No, it's never happened in the history of ball. But when you have that many, to your point, that's losing opportunities to go get those points. So if you cut those opportunities down to just 1 or 2 a game, that means you're successful in 5 or 6. Then now you're doing exactly what you just talked about, and we're where we want to be. So the part that we're talking about being close, that's the part that's exciting about the opportunity that we have in front of us, that we feel like it is right there for us to go take. We just got to go take it now.
Luke, there were such high expectations for Justin to make a leap here in year 3. From your overview, how can he get on track to where you guys hope he can go?
Yeah, our expectations have always been the same. It's about him getting better each and every week and making sure that he's mastering what we're doing from our perspective and being the leader of that unit. And I think he's doing a really nice job in the midst of a lot of shit right now going on, that he's been manning up and he's taking the leadership role for these guys. So it's been good to see him be able to put it on his shoulders and be the guy that wants to help make this thing get right.
Do you feel like he's being unfairly judged? I mean, quarterbacks get the glory when a team wins, but they take a lot of heat when they lose.
Yeah, that's the business, right? Coach Flus gets the most of it. The quarterback's probably number 2, and then it probably goes to me after that from the offensive perspective, and that's just the way this is. That's what we signed up for. You got to have strong shoulders and to be able to handle all that stuff, and that's part of the business.
You talk about him wanting him to just get better every week. What has he gotten better at throughout these weeks?
Yeah, like I talked about a little bit last week, you play teams that we just played against that challenge you with all kind of different scheme and alignments and pressures and stuff and like that. You talk about a guy who during the week in the preparation, getting everybody on board on the same page, and I think that showed up again this past week where that wasn't the issue at all. We were doing a really good job. He made sure that everybody was on the same page and protection-wise. When you have a new line like that we had last week again, for them to be able to be on the same page and have their calls and everything like that, that was a really good example of him being able to in control of all that stuff.
You guys spend a few hours or a day reviewing what happened. You flip the page around to the next opponent. As this is kind of dragged on, how do you prevent frustration from setting in for you as a coach?
I think we're in the process of building something special, and I think that we're in the phase of it's week 3 going into week 4, and we're going on to find a way to attack Denver in a completely different way than we did Kansas City. That's the week-to-week challenge that you have. There's different schemes. There's different mentalities of coordinators that you're playing against, and so like Coach Flus kind of always says, you get 24 hours to enjoy or be sad about whatever the heck happened, and you move on. That's part of our business. It's a 17-week process. It is not a 3-week process.
Justin talked about leaning on Darnell Mooney as his best friend off the field, but also kind of in that locker room. Have you kind of had an outside perspective looking in on that friendship and relationship and how they both dealt with not having starts that they wanted to?
And what do you?
Just in like Darnell Mooney not getting the targets or the receiving yards that he probably wants, and Justin not getting off to the fast, explosive start that he
Yeah, but I guess I'm asking, what's your question? You're looking for, like, have I seen?
them kind of, how have you seen them kind of join together or talk it out or kind of wanting to push forward and find solutions?
Yeah, no, those two are as hard working people in this building. Talk about just ultimate team guys and whatever it takes, put in the preparation and the effort. I mean, those are the two guys we have to drag off the field after practice because they do so much work, and those guys do have that great working relationship on top of their personal relationship for sure.
Luke, I get that you're preaching patience, it's early part of the process, but I think what frustrates Bears fans is they look around the league and they see this Dobbs in Arizona beat the Cowboys, and they see Stroud, beat the Jaguars with 100-plus passer ratings. What is it about this offense that Justin Fields can't show some tangible evidence that he's making progress?
I think when you start talking about trying to compare different situations, right? There's different offenses, there's different defenses, the opponents, they're different. I think it's not a fair comparison when you're going one. It's not apples to apples, I guess is what I'm saying, when you put those two situations comparing against each other. I think but for us, it's all about us improving, right? And how does an offense show improvement? You score points. And if we don't score points, then it looks like we don't improve. And so it comes down to it. We just got to go score points.
Where's Nate Davis at, and do you expect him to play this week?
Yeah, he was out there yesterday. He took all the reps. So I think, as far as Nate, where he's at with everything, I think I'll let him talk to you guys about where he's at with that. But he had a really good day yesterday, and he seemed like he's ready to roll.
As an extension of that, how do you evaluate Jatari through the previous two games?
No, I thought Jatari did a great job of stepping in there, right? I mean, talk about a really cool improvement from one year to the next as far as assignments and physicality and all that stuff. Jatari's got all the athleticism in the world to do it, and it was really cool to be able to see him go out there and show some real improvement and physicality part of it like he did last 2 weeks.
Sorry. You guys are in the bottom third in carries in the league. I realize, you had a game get away from you on Sunday, but would you like to be more consistent with how many times you run? And when you're facing a team that just allowed the sorts of rushing yards that they allowed, how do you find a way to make that work for you? I realize it's apples to oranges.
Yeah, no, like you said, the flow of the game sometimes dictates that, right? I mean, like if we talked about, I think it's 2 weeks in a row, we've only had 50 cracks at it too. So that part of it hasn't been favorable to get those cracks at it. But it always is going to come down to the way that we match up against a defense, right? So whether that's passing or running, the types of passes or the types of runs, I think that's always going to come week to week basis for us.
Does the best version of your offense though have a better run game than you've shown?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest difference from what kind of carried us to the beginning of last season was the explosive run opportunities that we created, and we just really haven't created those right now.
We know that defenses have bad games, but how did Denver give up 70 points when you look at it?
No, I think it's one of those things, like you said, it probably just got away from them in the end of it, because you see in the first couple weeks, how talented they really are. I mean, the two edge rushers they have are really good. They have obviously one of the best corners in the league, and I think that game probably just got away from them. And obviously Miami's, they're clicking on all cylinders right now too. So that part of it was just, I think, just became a little bit much.
You listen to yourself as one of the guys who draws the brunt of the criticism, outwardly. Do you feel any pressure to get this thing on track and get it on track quickly?
Well, no, I mean, like I've said before, nothing or nobody or no circumstance is going to put more pressure on themselves than myself already. And so, yeah, absolutely. I want if we're not achieving everything that we want to achieve as a team, I'll always look inward first.
Luke, back when you got the offensive coordinator job, I'm sure you watched a lot of tape on Justin, college and obvious rookie year. Do you still see the quarterback on that Monday night game against Pittsburgh in terms of confidence, ability to throw downfield that, a year and 3 games into it now?
Yeah, Justin has a tremendous amount of confidence. I think it's like you said. There's a lot of moving parts when you're playing on an offense. It's 11 as one, and right now we're not clicking all 11 as one. And I know it's easy, like I said, to look to pinpoint it on one person, but it's not. And so we got to make sure that we go out and we got to get that synchronize a little bit better, and we'll go out and get some points.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. How are you guys doing? And gals doing? Doing outstanding. Looking forward to a good week of work. Obviously, we already started our week of work, but really looking forward to a good, challenging game, playing a really good unit that has some good success in these 3 weeks. So really excited for the challenge and really can't wait to get on the field today. But with that, we'll open it to questions.
How do you divide your time this week, knowing the turnaround next week? How do you sort out the 2 games as far as your workload, and then what do you tell the players?
Yeah, for the player standpoint, it's a good question, Jay. From the player standpoint, right, they're focused on this week. And for us as coaches, we kind of do a little bit of that stuff because we get the schedule ahead of time, and Flus is outstanding about that stuff and where we have our areas to kind of get ahead. And usually, I guess just from my days of being a quality control and working, you guys always work a couple weeks ahead when you have downtime. If not, then everything backs up on you. So it's one of those things where you put your game plan in this week and you execute it, and then next week you turn around and you have the stuff ready for the players. As soon as that game's over with, then they're ready to move on and study for the next week. So that's a good question. Thursday night games are always challenging, but everybody's got to do them, and they're good for the game. So.
Richard, what's the coaching point for Jalen Jones on that opportunity he had, when the ball goes into the end zone? What's kind of the coaching point there? Yeah,
that's a good question, Nick. You take a look at that play, and obviously, first of all, we didn't execute that play like the way we wanted to execute. So obviously want to acknowledge that. We practice that about 2 or 3 times a week. So, and we practice it all the time. Basically, he wants to become a Goldie, and his job is to block that ball. And if you look at that play, we were in perfect position to make the play, and unfortunately, we just didn't make the play. So he's just got to get his body in front of it and block it, and either knock it back with his hand or knock it back with his body. But he was in a good position to make the play, so that's encouraging. Now we just have to execute the play. It'd be totally different if he wasn't even in position to make the play. So I'm glad he got himself in position and understands where to be. Now we just got to execute it.
On the 1 punt return up the right sideline, they kind of got away from you a little bit. What were the breakdowns there?
All right, so on that kid, that kid number 12 you're talking about, right? Yeah. So it was on that one. It was a decent punt. Okay, we were okay in protection. We probably could have did a better job of getting down the field a little bit faster. Probably could have had a little bit more hang on that punt. Wasn't a huge punt return, but obviously we should have tackled it probably before it was 7 yards or so. Our guy that was outside, that was in the vice, he just jumped inside. Had he held outside, and if our left wing and left tackle would have been down there. So the vice, the gunner that was there, he was outside. He had outside leverage. The ball was here, and he jumped right inside, right at the end. Our PP was right there, and then we were missing 2 guys on the left side of our punt team, the left tackle and the left wing right there were held up. If not, then that ball stops right there at the PP. It bounces, and then those 2 make the play, and then it just went back outside. But that's a good question because they had him cornered, and then they didn't finish it. So, go ahead. Anything else?
With all the injuries that's happening on really both sides of the ball, how's that impact you, and how do you go about making decisions for how you fill guys in to those spots that used to be filled by other guys that may be playing more on offense or defense?
Yeah, good question, Herb. First of all, I'm excited for guys when they get an opportunity to play on offense and defense because that's one of our mottos that we preach in our room and, doing a great job with us and developing, and then you get an opportunity to play more. But it's definitely challenging and it's difficult, and it's definitely difficult when you have guys that haven't played much or only get a day or 2 of training on it. But, hey, that's the NFL and everybody has to deal with it. So We just got to do a great job of developing those guys when they're on the practice squad, developing those guys when they're in practice positions, which we've done, and we've seen some guys come up and play well for us. So I'm excited for the guys that we have that are getting new opportunities, and then we'll also use some of those other guys. They'll play as well because Flus believes in playing, everybody to win the game. So that should be a great challenge and a great opportunity for those guys.
Ben's brought one back.
Yep.
What's special about him? What do you need to be aware of?
Yeah, Mims is outstanding returner. He has really good vision, first of all, and he's extremely explosive. So what we thought about him in college, he's showing on the NFL level. It's the reason why he's drafted where he was drafted. I mean, he's an outstanding player. They do a great job of coaching over there. He got 2 veteran coordinators that have been in the league a while, and they're doing a great job coaching him and the rest of the unit, and being Kawika, who's done it for 9 or 10 years, and Westhoff, who's legendary coordinator, and they also have a third guy helping them. They got Chris Banjo, who played the game at a high level and can talk to those guys from a player standpoint. So what I see on tape is an explosive player in Mims, and I see a really well-coached unit along with an explosive player, which is giving them an opportunity to be top in the league in punt return and top in the league and kickoff return. And on that note, I know you always have those kickoff return questions through 3 weeks, and I'll leave you guys with this. I thought it was really interesting. There have been 2 touchdowns in these 3 weeks. Over the last 3 years, there's only been 3 combined, right? So, and that kid has one of those touchdowns. So what it's telling me is obviously the number of returns are going down. All right, that's a fact. Okay, we saw that. Okay, but what's interesting is the yards per return is going up. Okay, so that is really interesting. What it tells me is even a week like this week, just because there are not a lot of returns, when they are coming out, you better have your guys detailed and focused and coached on that play, because the plays that are coming out are bigger and they are longer than what's happened in the past. And if you take that a step further, I mean, punt return. If you take it a step further, punt returns, there have been 3 touchdowns this year. Okay, you know how many there have been in the last 3 years in the first 3 weeks?
1?
Good guess.
0?
0. Right? So it tells me we got to focus more on the details, and it's really a trick for guys to think that, hey, it may not come out, it might come out. You better be more focused now. You better be more detailed now. And obviously the kickoff is obviously still an exciting play, and it's still having a factor, even though we're getting the desired return that we want from the NFL wants, right, in terms of the returns going down and making it safer and making it it's still a better play, and it's still a huge factor. So we got to be on top of it.
In the game the other day, obviously Denver had plenty of opportunities. There were 9 touchbacks, I think.
Yeah.
Is that a factor of? Do you suspect that the kickoff team, maybe there might be a lack of intensity if you're going touchback after touchback, and now one comes out, now you got to play defense. Is that what you're trying to guard against as coaching?
As I can only speak for my unit, I can't speak for Miami, but it's human nature, right? Is what you're asking. So what I'm saying is, with the study that I've seen, is our guys got to even be more on it and ready for it to come out, right? And I tell the guys all the time, on special teams, you don't get second down, you don't get third down. You can get sacked, and it can be 2nd and 30. All right, you still got a chance. All right, they can start a drive on defense at the 1 and drive it all the way down to the other 1, and you can stop them on the goal line stands. On special teams, you only get 1 shot. You don't get 2nd and 3rd down. So that's why it's special, because you get 1 shot. And if it only takes 1 shot for it to be a bad play, no matter if you had 9 plays that would touch, it only takes 1. So that's what we got to be focused and prepared for. But that's a great question. That's an awesome question.
Still
Good? you got one more? All right, no problem. One more. We take one more.
While we're talking about the kickoffs and this kind
Yeah.
of interesting new trend.
Yeah.
Still a small sample size with the new rule, but have you seen how that rule is maybe playing a role in this as well? Like where does the new rule fit in this? Lots of touchbacks, but when it is returned, it's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, what I see is kind of what I just said, and then I think as we go later on in the year, then we probably will see more returns because of weather, and the ball can't travel as fast, so then we'll have a better sample size for you then. But I just know through 3 weeks we've had enough, and I know that questions come up enough, and ironically, we're playing one of the teams that took one back, so I thought it was pertinent to mention that. So, good guys. All right, thanks.